Details now. Thank you for staying with us. The World News at 6 begins with the President General of the Nnamdi Worldwide, Chief Emmanuel Iwanyanwu, again urging President Muhammadu Buhari to release the detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, before leaving office on May 29. The other statesman made the appeal today while speaking at the flag-off of the pre-dredging and the hydrographic survey of the proposed sea access route of the Urashi-Oguta waterways through Degema to the Atlantic Ocean in Oguta, Imo State. Chief Iwanyanwu, who dispelled fears that Igbos might want to leave the country, also lauded President Buhari for his love for the Southeast, which was reflected in the number of federal government projects in the region. You will recall that earlier in May, President Muhammadu Buhari was set to leave office. Ohaneze Ndigbo, the apex Igbo socio-political organization, had said Buhari should release Kanu as his parting gift to Nigerians. Also, chieftain of the group Okechukwu Isiguzuru had said if the federal government could grant pardon to Boko Haram members, then Kanu should be released. Meanwhile, lawyer Mike Ozekhome, a senior advocate of Nigeria, has told the Supreme Court that the detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, might die in detention of the Department of State Services, DSS. Ozekhome, who is Kanu's senior counsel, expressed the fear over his client's state of health today during the hearing of the IPOB leader's case, where he told the Apex Court that Kanu was currently very sick in DSS custody and required an immediate surgical operation in favor of the transfer of Kanu from DSS custody to Kuje Correctional Center to enable him to begin his treatment. However, responding to Ozekhome's prayer, the Supreme Court told the lawyer that God would keep Kanu alive and that he would not die in detention, stating that even if it proceeded to hear the appeal, there was no space within its calendar to write and deliver the verdict within the 90-day deadline. Reacting to this development is Barrister Tony Nnadi, a legal luminary and co-convener of the Lower Niger Congress.
All the time, the fellow was, out there causing havoc in the homeland with the number of deaths that cannot even be quantified. Rolling out the red carpet for Nigeria that's been looking for how to kill our people, for them to come in and kill. It didn't bother him that people were being killed. He was actually ordering the execution of many by his brokers, and you saw them carrying out those instructions. And so, if our people have now come to where it's convenient for them to pretend that nothing was done wrong, with all the damage that had been done in the place, Nigeria was already doing extraordinary wrong in the place since 1967. It never stopped. And we rolled out something that will address the issues. What are those issues? Whatever anybody can offer as a reason for running a Biafra restoration campaign, whether it was Wazirike or Benjamin Onwuka's Zionist movement, or the ones that call themselves all kinds of 42 different Biafran organizations, that we have sat down with their leaders, the ones who are leading them in that meaningless campaign. We call it meaningless because what is Biafra, if we may ask? Where are the boundaries? You want self-determination, you want independence. The first thing you need on the table is the territorial description of the place, a map, a clear map, so that whoever you are going to call to help you will know that the land begins somewhere and ends somewhere. But once you call it Biafra, two-thirds of the land just falls outside the southeast of today. And these were the things we sat down and explained to all of them. And those who refused to listen carried on because they were just clear-minded criminals who wanted to make money off our people. And it was part of their design to cause maximum violence in the manner that will compel those who do not know the truth to continue to contribute money for them that they are fighting for Biafra. Meanwhile, you do not have a territorial map. You've not discussed with those who were in the 1967 Biafra, the present Akwa Ibom, Cross River, rivers, and the whole of the Ijo, the whole of the Anna, the whole of Efik, the whole of Ogodi, the whole of Ogoja, all of those places, 2/3 of what was Biafra of 1967. And so, if you say you want to restore Biafra, you are telling the Ijaw people that you are coming to take their land. And you are not discussing with them. You are Igbo. Your deputy is Igbo. Everybody is around there. The hierarchy is Igbo. And you broadcast in Igbo, and you're just sending a signal that you want to conquer them. And you make that campaign totally on space. We say, this is what Nigeria is doing to all of us. These are the things we can do about it. And we have come so far. We were almost, getting to the finish line before this IPOB thing was rolled out by Nnamdi Kanu in 2013. Some of our elders who knew what we were doing, called them, particularly the one who was a governor in Lagos State, Admiral Nnamdi Kanu, invited him to come to see what was being done concerning the matter. He came and sat down with me for 4 hours in Victoria Island, in Admiral Kanu's office. And I showed him all of what we were, the definition, what was the problem we were trying to solve. Where do we want to land with all of it? What are the processes? The things we were doing were documented. He rejected everything. The 8 points of strategy, what are the things we must have? What are the things we must do to come to where Nigeria, because we are not the only ones in that situation. Ijaw is in that situation, Yoruba is in that situation, Middle Belt is in that situation. Are they not killing all over those places? Are they not confiscating their assets? Are Yoruba people in charge of their what's it called, their ports today? Are the people in Ondo in charge of their oil and gas today? Nigeria took everything from everybody. The Igbo case began before the others. Yes, understood. But we now have an initiative bringing everybody who is in that problem together under something that addresses the constitutional structures by which Nigeria is able to do what it's doing. Identifying the Fulani conquest agenda against everybody, because that the media may want to they sound what do they call it, politically correct. But if anybody is still at the level of pretending that there's no Fulani agenda, then such a person can go to hell. Such a person can go just to hell.
Tony, sir, here is a scenario. It is important for us to be sensitive with how we respond to some issues.
People are being killed. Those who want to be sensitive should just go ahead and be sensitive, far from our view.
Okay.
If anybody is pretending,
but we can logically contextualize.
Listen to the reason. Listen to the reason we have to call it out the way it is. Did El-Rufai, as the governor of the Kaduna State, did El-Rufai not announce to all of us that he was the one that went to 14 different countries to give money to the Fulani people that have been coming to kill people in his domain? Did El-Rufai not say so on national TV? If you want, I send you the video. That people were coming to slaughter people in his domain. And all he did as governor was to go to them in their places. How did he know where to find them? In Burkina Faso and Senegal and Mauritania, to go to give them money as governor. That was his response. Now, most of those monies ended up being used to buy more weapons, and the people kept coming back. The Buhari that is president happened to be Fulani. Before he became president, was Buhari not and still the life grand patron of Miyetti Allah? Is he not?
Tony, here is hello, sir. This is the situation. But now let's look for a way forward. The Ohaneze Ndigbo, for the Apex Igbo Social Political Organization, is asking that as a parting gift, let him give Nnamdi Kanu a political pardon, so that there will be some sort of truce and peace in the southeast. That's basically what he said.
If that Ohaneze,
meaning Ezeokubundu means truth is life.
What about the life? What about the lives of those that died from the direct activities of that fellow? What have they said about it?
So, Sir Tony Nnadi, are you literally saying that Nnamdi Kanu should remain in the custody?
I am not interested in however they proceed. We continue in what we are doing, but Mike Ozekhome is not telling them the truth. Mike Ozekhome is not telling them the truth. Maybe he enjoys dancing around with them and being popular in their midst. That will not solve the problem. We have a mechanism to solve the problem. The fellow refused to embrace that mechanism. He decided to go for what he described in a meeting with me as a conquer and occupy. You sit in the safety of the UK, making brokers that cost human lives and destroy all the things that have been done to solve the problem from afar. So between him, there's a broadcast I'm going to send to you. There's a broadcast we made when they first brought him, from wherever they grabbed him. There's a broadcast we made addressing the federal government of Nigeria, and even before then, addressing the federal government of Nigeria and the people doing Biafra restoration in the manner they were doing it. To say, look, both of you don't want to address the problem. Federal government, we have constitutional grievances, very genuine constitutional grievances. Nobody has done more to try to solve those problems because we call the problems by the name. People are coming to conquer other people, killing them and taking their land, imposing constitution that make it impossible for anything to happen. The ports are locked down, the Eastern Economic Corridor is locked down, and you see how they are being treated in Lagos. The same people chasing Igbo people around in Lagos were the ones who locked down the Eastern Economic Corridor. The ports of Port Harcourt and Calabar will receive all the vessels that land in Lagos today. So they join hands and make sure that Igbo land is locked down. And then people come here, you begin to chase them as people who do not have a homeland. But you use the constitution to lock down what they will have been doing. And so we call out all these things, and we're not just complaining. We went round to organize what will solve the problem. Whatever was the Ghanaian Adams' reason for picking up arms in OPC, we sat down with him, eyeball to eyeball. Gani, why are you chasing police out of Yoruba land? He said he does not understand why people who do not wish Yoruba people well are the ones organizing the security of Yoruba people. That's the little he could explain at the time. And when we now place on the table what we were going to do to solve the problem, that it is the constitution that put the guns in the hands of the federal government exclusively that has to be taken down, so that people of the Western region, the Yoruba people, can take charge of their security, like as it is in all federations. As we agreed at the beginning, you own your assets, you work your assets like Awolowo had a constitution under which. So he began to listen and began to moderate what he was doing to the point where it ceased to be a problem. Before Obasanjo came, police people had to hide their uniforms to go to work in Yoruba land. Before Obasanjo was sworn in, if you had police uniform on, OPC will jump on you from wherever they see you. That was the situation. The Canadians had the discipline. With all the guns in his command, he had the discipline to listen for how we can all work together to take down that constitution, identify that common enemy that support everybody else.
Meanwhile, Nigeria is rapidly gaining stature as a major political and commercial leader in tropical Africa. Various physical, economic, and social factors lead to marketing procedures that can be radically unusual, and the National Institute of Marketing of Nigeria, a body for professionals engaged in marketing and related fields, organized a lecture to resensitize and reorient marketers and prospective marketers on navigating the challenges in the industry. The lecture, with the theme "The Future of Marketing: How to Prepare for the Change Ahead," had key brand managers, experienced marketing executives, and strategists educate at the lecture. Let's take a listen to the president and chairman of the council, Idore Enang, Otumba Adebayo Oke, the chairman of the NIMN Ikeja chapter, and Eric Birire, the assistant coordinator and the financial secretary of the Ikeja chapter.
My name is Idore Enang. I'm the president and chairman of the governing council of the National Institute of Marketing. Well, we're looking at the future of marketing, and what I did, given the audience, was to give an episcopal view, speaking to what we see as our future and the inherent challenges in it. Number one is the fact that we expect to have increased data usage and analytics, and that in itself is going to be huge. You're going to have data at the fingertips of everybody, but then the issues that will come from it will be privacy. The more you get into understanding personalization, what your consumers want, you're packing, getting data left, right, center. At some point, there will be issues around privacy. And when privacy issues come, you also understand that if not well managed, there will be counter inferences to either the brand or the company. Or let me even say this, that day to day or door to door was not marketing, that's selling. Okay. That is more of selling, that's more of canvassing. Marketing really sits from the point of creation and then goes all the way to demand fulfillment. That is the whole space of marketing. Now, in the presentation, my colleague, Kola Oyeyemi, Kola talked about that extensively. And what you're saying, in essence, is what happens given digital economy. Now, what will happen to what we used to do traditionally? I think everything will fuse in. Number one, the biggest challenge is that the consumers you know now that we used to know are now more empowered. You cannot pull wool over their eyes. So you cannot, for every reason, just give them anything. They can easily go on the internet and then they will check the same service given offered in other brands, other countries worldwide. And they'll come back to you and say, madam, you're giving me less than my value. So empowerment of the consumer is what it is today. However, having to move a step further in understanding the whys and the wherefores, making it part of their lifestyle, helps you endear them towards you. And it's going to be a lot more of engagement and internalization between the brands and the consumers. I mean, you can see students there. It's the ecosystem. Next generation of potential marketers, business leaders. You also have members of the institute, and then also having high quality speakers to open the valves of knowledge and the horizon, so that, and then as an institute, what are the things that we are doing differently to enhance building capability and capacity? So being here provides an opportunity by virtue of the chapter, it's Ikeja chapter of our institute, putting all of this together to enable that future that is now. I think the first challenge really for marketers is the ability to analyze data. A lot of data is out there, but how do you transpose that into strategy? That's the first challenge. The second challenge is the fact that a lot of consumers now, the trend is that the consumers are ahead of even the market, because they are able to toss into other markets even before you go to them. And I think a third challenge will now possibly be the change in policies. Government policies can impact businesses, and when they impact businesses, you need to change your mode of operation, your route to market, and the way you can, deliver service to your customer. I think those are the top three for me, and I think the biggest of it, which I'll close with, is ensuring an alignment with what you're selling online and what you are getting delivered to you, or what you find on the food floor. Very many times, those that are marketing may not necessarily, if they don't follow through, get through the point of fulfillment or delivery.
In every profession, you have to continuously upgrade and review your knowledge base, especially in a very dynamic environment like ours. The basic objective of this is that we are transiting from one economy to the other. We are moving from post-COVID, which was global, to a political economy that is likely to change, because also in Nigeria we're transiting government. And because of that, a lot of policies may be affected. How does that affect marketing practice? And also, if some of those things are changing, what are the fresh insights that can assist marketers to be able to cope with such challenges? That is the basic of what we have come to do here. That's why we've put together a couple of highly rated professionals that have been there, that are still there, and that still will be there in various functions. That is basically what we've done here. To review where we're coming from, offer likely strategies that have been proven to have worked for some people currently, and share it amongst ourselves so that the marketers can also adopt it if it suits individual scenario. That's what we've come to do here. So as the institute,
Yes.
our institutes have a charter which drives whatever we do. What we then leverage on are the key talents that we have within our institute and outside it, who are practitioners, to also look at it in terms of data usage, data sourcing, usage, and application, which we're going to also align to individual services or products that maybe member companies are doing. So our own challenges are streamlined, except sometimes, yes, the president or the chairman may say, why don't we look at it this way? But the rules that guide is still the same. But the driver may now say, okay, instead of taking this side, let me take this side. If that side is proving to be good, we'll go about it. There's no one quick fix way to the issues that we're talking about. But you have to, the kind of clothes that you will wear with different from the kind of clothes that I will wear. So that is how we look at it. Different strategy implementation for individual challenge.
Eric Birire is my name. I'm the financial secretary of the chapter. Why we came out with this topic, the future of market and how to prepare for the changes. Now we are moving to a new government. And that means from the former government, what happened during COVID, a lot of companies affected. That means a new government is coming in. That means there is a need for we to prepare ahead. The policy of the government, let me use the Peters factors. We are talking about the political, the economy, the social, the technology, the law. Those factors has a key role to play in marketing. What is marketing? Marketing is identifying the needs of the people and producing that need at a profit to the shareholder. That means the future of marketing. Where is what going to be the future of the marketing? The government policy has a key role to play in the future of marketing. That is why we came out with this topic. What is the future of marketing and how to prepare for this? To come out with strategy, tactics that we can apply, most organization can apply that will help them to increase their sales, increase their profitability, increase their visibility, and increase their awareness.
In another development, a member of the All Progressives Congress Presidential Campaign Council in Imo State, Captain Tony Enoch, has been killed. Enoch, who was a retired military officer and also a kinsman of the Imo State Governor, Hope Uzodinma, was killed in Oru East local government area of the state, hometown of the governor. Meanwhile, the presidential election petition court has fixed hearing for next Thursday in the application by the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Atiku Abubakar, for live telecast of the court's proceedings. While ruling today, Justice Harunat Samani said the application will be heard along with other applications by the respondents, including those seeking the dismissal of the joint petition by Atiku and the PDP. President Muhammadu Buhari has appointed the retiring Assistant Inspector General of Police Garba Baba Umar as the Senior Security Advisor on the International Police Cooperation and Counter-Terrorism in the Office of the Minister of Police Affairs. The Senior Special Assistant on Media and Publicity, Malam Garba Shehu, in a statement today said the appointment was to enable Nigeria keep the important position and make way for him to complete his nationally beneficial tenure as an executive member of the International Police Organization, Interpol. Shehu said AIG Umar's tenure at the Interpol would end in November 2024, and his new appointment as Senior Security Advisor will take effect from 16th May 2023. On the foreign scene, Spain's cabinet today approved the measures worth more than 2 billion euros to alleviate the impact of a prolonged drought that has hit its key agricultural sector. The country's water reserves are on average below 50% of capacity, while levels have fallen to roughly 25% in the two worst hit areas, Andalusia in the south and Catalonia in the northeast. The lack of rainfall has been catastrophic for the agricultural sector in Spain, which is the world's biggest exporter of olive oil and the European Union's biggest producer of fruits and vegetables. To end the world news, let's take a look at the headlines again. You heard that Ohaneze has nudged for Nnamdi Kanu's release, while Mike Ozekhome has stipulated that Nnamdi Kanu might die in detention. The APC Presidential Campaign Council member gone down in Imo State and the Election Tribunal to hear Atiku's motion of live telecast on Thursday. On the foreign scene, Spain has earmarked 2.2 billion euros to tackle drought. And that's it on the World News at 6. My name is Chama Innocent. Please follow our social media handles at VOP903FM. Good evening.